Around 68 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, a creature was born that would become one of the most heavily armored animals to ever walk the earth. This was Ankylosaurus, a living fortress built for defense. The world around him was brutal. The air was warm and heavy, the land filled with forests, swamps, and plains. Dinosaurs of all kinds lived there, from the long-necked giants that grazed high above the trees to predators like Tyrannosaurus rex that ruled the food chain. In this world, there was no safety. Every shadow could hide danger. When a baby Ankylosaurus hatched, it was small and soft-skinned. It had no armor yet, only the instinct to stay close to cover, to move slowly, and to listen. Over time, as it grew, its back began to harden. Bone plates formed under the skin little by little, creating the first pieces of the shield that would one day make it almost untouchable. Unlike other dinosaurs that ran or hid, Ankylosaurus learned something different: survive by becoming untouchable. His diet helped him grow strong. He didn't chase prey or fight over food. He simply grazed low plants, ferns, and roots that others ignored. Slowly, quietly, he became a walking wall of defense, a shape that even the biggest predators respected. As Ankylosaurus matured, his armor became his identity. Rows of thick bone plates covered his back like a living shield. Each plate, called an osteoderm, was connected through tough skin and muscle. The plates were different sizes, some flat and wide, others sharp and pointed, especially along his sides. From above, he looked like a tank made of stone. But his most dangerous weapon wasn't on his back. It was his tail. The end of his tail grew into a massive club made of solid bone. Muscles along his spine allowed him to swing it with enormous power. When he struck, the sound was like a tree cracking in half. Scientists believe that one hit could break a leg or crush the bones of a predator. This weapon wasn't only for defense, it was also a warning. If another Ankylosaurus came too close during mating season, they could fight, not to kill, but to prove strength. The one who could swing faster and hit harder would win. Nature shaped Ankylosaurus into something rare, a creature built for battle, but who preferred peace. Despite his armor, Ankylosaurus wasn't clumsy. He walked low to the ground, his legs wide apart to balance the heavy plates. His eyes were positioned on the sides of his head, giving him a wide view to spot danger early. He couldn't run fast, but he didn't need to. If a predator tried to attack, he simply turned his body and faced them with his armor, like a wall of living stone. Ankylosaurus lived alongside some of the most famous dinosaurs in history: Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, and the mighty T-Rex. The landscape was full of life, and every species had its own role. Triceratops guarded its herd with horns, T-Rex ruled with jaws and speed, and Ankylosaurus defended himself with patience and power. He was mostly a solitary animal, moving slowly through forests, searching for low plants. His sense of smell was strong enough to detect fresh vegetation or approaching predators long before they came into view. Sometimes groups of Ankylosaurus might cross paths and move together for a while. Their combined armor made them nearly untouchable. He didn't make loud roars or calls. Instead, scientists believe he used low, deep sounds, vibrations that could travel through the ground. It was a quiet language of survival. Even when storms came, Ankylosaurus stayed calm. His thick armor protected him from falling branches, and his heavy body kept him stable in strong winds. He was slow, but in a world built for survival, slow could mean smart. Predators always watched. For Tyrannosaurus rex, a full-grown Ankylosaurus was a dangerous challenge, but sometimes hunger forced them to try. The attack was always the same. T-Rex would charge, aiming for the soft underside or the neck, the only unprotected parts. But Ankylosaurus knew the game. He would drop lower, swing his tail, and aim for the predator's legs. One hit, if it landed, could decide the battle instantly. Imagine a blow with the force of a speeding car, made of bone and muscle. That was Ankylosaurus's defense. Some battles were short. The predator retreated, limping, broken, defeated. Others ended in stalemate, both sides hurt, both alive. Ankylosaurus didn't fight for glory. He fought only to survive. And in that he was almost unbeatable. Even smaller predators like dromaeosaurs, relatives of Velociraptor, couldn't do much. Their speed meant nothing against his armor. They might circle and scream, but they couldn't get through. Ankylosaurus would just stand, silent, waiting. until they gave up and disappeared into the forest. For millions of years, Ankylosaurus and others like him ruled their lands. But nature never stands still. Volcanic eruptions darkened the skies. Ash and dust began to change the climate. The plants that fed the herbivores started to die. Without food, even the strongest animals grew weaker. Then came the final blow. A giant asteroid struck the Earth. The impact sent fire and dust into the air, blocking sunlight for months. Temperatures dropped. The forests burned and then froze. Ankylosaurus, built for defense, had no way to fight nature itself. He couldn't migrate fast enough to find new food. The plants he relied on vanished. Predators starved too, but it didn't matter. The world itself was collapsing. Within a few years, the great armored guardians disappeared. The age of dinosaurs ended, and silence took their place. Today, millions of years later, the story of Ankylosaurus still inspires us. When paleontologists first found his fossils, they were amazed at his design. It looked like something from science fiction. An animal covered in armor, carrying a weapon on its tail. But this wasn't fantasy. This was real evolution, nature's perfect design for defense. Ankylosaurus shows that survival doesn't always mean being fast or strong. Sometimes it means being patient, cautious, and ready for anything. His skeleton tells a story of balance between strength and strategy. His armor was not just protection, it was his identity. Every plate, every scar, every line on his fossil shows what he endured. Even though his kind disappeared, the idea of his design lived on. Humans later built tanks, shields, and armor, all inspired by the same principle: defend to survive. It's strange to think that millions of years ago, nature had already built what we would one day invent. Ankylosaurus wasn't the fastest or the smartest or the biggest, but he was the most unbreakable. And that made him one of evolution's greatest survivors. The world may have changed, but the legacy of creatures like Ankylosaurus remains. They remind us that strength isn't about dominance. It's about endurance. They remind us that even when the world collapses, something of their spirit remains in the stones, in the fossils, in our imagination. The armored guardian of the Cretaceous is gone, but his message still stands. Sometimes the greatest power is to simply endure,